At 16 years old, Charleston White took the stand in court and testified against his friend, Antoine Doolittle. Sitting just a few feet away, Doolittle listened closely as Charleston spoke about an incident that happened years ago. Charleston recalled pulling the hammer back on the gun and mentioning how they had all seen the video of the snitching incident on the news before. He made it clear that even though people saw it, nothing had changed for him. He was still living his life, still getting booked, and still wealthy. 50 Cent, known for his bold and unfiltered opinions, didn't hold back when he heard about the resurfaced clip of Charleston testifying against his friend. The internet quickly reacted, pointing out how Charleston had turned on his crew, causing serious consequences for everyone involved. But Charleston didn't seem bothered at all. Instead, he laughed it off and stood firm on his actions, even calling out the critics. He reminded everyone that the video had already been seen and that nothing was new. The controversy began when an old clip surfaced showing Charleston testifying against Antoine Doolittle during a trial. In the footage, Charleston, at the age of 16, revealed details about how his friend, along with others, had been involved in a tragic incident back in 1991. Doolittle and the others were accused of trying to steal jackets and hats from a department store. When Michael Levy, a man who tried to stop them, confronted the teens, things escalated. In a shocking turn of events, Doolittle pulled out a gun and shot Michael Levy in the back as he walked away. Charleston was a witness, but when it came time to speak out, he testified against his friends. On the stand, he admitted that he had handed Doolittle the gun, but it was Doolittle who had taken the deadly action. Charleston even laughed about it afterward, showing little remorse. For Michael's wife, the loss was devastating, as she had only been married to him for 4 days. She had dreamed of a life with him, and that dream was suddenly stolen away. Charleston's testimony against Doolittle and his friends had far-reaching consequences that altered the course of his life and the lives of those around him. The story began when Charleston, at a young age, found himself in a situation where his choices would define his future. In a criminal case involving his close friends, Charleston made the decision to testify, to speak out against Doolittle and others involved in the crime. While this decision was an attempt to save himself, it ended up leading to serious consequences not only for him, but also for those who were involved in the same criminal activity. Charleston's testimony was crucial in securing the conviction of Doolittle and his associates. It was a decision that made waves, and as soon as the information became public, the backlash was swift. The internet quickly labeled him as a snitch, an accusation that carries a heavy stigma, especially in the world Charleston came from. In a society where loyalty to friends and street codes are often seen as paramount, Charleston's decision to cooperate with the authorities was viewed by many as a betrayal. People from his past and even strangers on the internet turned on him, accusing him of turning his back on his friends for his own benefit. Despite the harsh judgment, Charleston remained unapologetic. The internet exploded with opinions, but Charleston, as brash and confident as ever, dismissed the backlash. In fact, he took to social media to express just how little the criticism affected him. Laughing off the insults and accusations, he posted a response that revealed his true attitude towards the situation. "Just because you saw the video, it doesn't change anything. You're still broke and I'm still getting booked. I'm still rich." The tone was bold, defiant, and dismissive, showing that Charleston wasn't about to let the opinions of others dictate how he lived his life. His message was clear. No matter what people thought of him, he had found a way to succeed, and he was going to continue doing so. Charleston's confidence in the face of adversity was a reflection of his mindset. He refused to be weighed down by the criticism, and instead, he turned the situation into an opportunity to further promote himself. As the snitch label stuck, he used it to his advantage, turning the controversy into something that worked for him, not against him. He joked about how the controversy would not stop him from being successful. He even went so far as to mock the very idea that his reputation would suffer because of it. "I'll keep getting interviews and bookings," he said, "while you all stay stuck where you are." It was a statement meant to show that, in his eyes, his critics were the ones losing, not him. At the time, Charleston's ability to maintain such an unshakable sense of self-worth while being publicly vilified was impressive. It was as though the drama swirling around him didn't even register on his radar. He seemed to revel in the fact that people were so invested in his life, and he thrived off of the attention. He didn't hide from the controversy or attempt to backpedal on his choices. Instead, he doubled down, leaning into the persona that had earned him fame in the first place. For Charleston, being a snitch wasn't something to be ashamed of. It was a business move, a way for him to secure his own future and move past the situations that had kept him trapped in the streets. The public's reaction to Charleston's testimony and the subsequent backlash had another side effect. It cemented his place in the public eye. The media frenzy only made him more visible, and Charleston played into it. He wasn't going to shy away from being the center of attention. In fact, he was determined to make the most of it. The more people talked about him, the more interviews and bookings he received. Charleston, through his actions and his defiant attitude, turned what many would consider a career-ending moment into a career-building one. He understood that in the entertainment industry, any publicity was good publicity, and he was skilled at keeping his name relevant. However, while Charleston's career seemed to skyrocket, his friends were not so fortunate. Because of his testimony, Doolittle and the others were tried as adults and faced much harsher consequences. They were sentenced to much longer prison terms, while Charleston, due to his age and cooperation with authorities, was sentenced to just 12 years in juvenile detention. For Charleston, this meant he would serve his time, but unlike his friends, he would eventually be able to move on with his life. His record was sealed after his release, meaning that when he got out, he didn't have a criminal record holding him back. This set him on a different path from his friends, one that allowed him to step into the world of entertainment with a clean slate, something that his friends would never be able to experience. Looking back, Charleston's decisions were not just about saving himself in the moment, they were about securing his future. He made a conscious choice to break away from the life he had known, one that involved crime and betrayal, and instead, he chose a life that could bring him fame, wealth, and success. He understood that the streets weren't going to take care of him, but the entertainment industry might. His unbothered attitude and ability to make money off of controversy were key to his success. Charleston's story is one of resilience and defiance. In the face of harsh criticism and public disdain, he managed to turn a situation that could have ruined him into one that helped him thrive. The internet may have labeled him a snitch, but Charleston didn't care. He kept moving forward, laughing all the way to the bank and proving that sometimes the best way to succeed is to embrace the chaos and use it to your advantage. His story is a reminder that people are going to talk, but it is up to you whether you let their words stop you or use them as fuel to propel you even further. If Charleston White had the chance to do it all over again, he would. When asked about his actions, he bluntly responded, "I don't care. I'm not friends with anyone." Charleston has always been open about not respecting street codes, and this shouldn't come as a surprise. He's said multiple times that he wants to make a change, even if it means going against the norm, which includes snitching on his closest friends. He's not afraid to speak his mind about the topic, even saying, "I want to snitch. I want to make it cool to do it." Charleston has also expressed that he's not willing to go to jail for anyone just because of loyalty. "I don't recommend doing 20 years for anyone. I don't recommend spending a life sentence for anyone," he said. He has made it clear that he doesn't see any honor in criminal behavior, and that's why he doesn't feel the need to follow the rules that others expect him to. In another interview, he shared, "I'm a citizen now. I vote. I'm even an election judge. I can't see myself being in jail at 50. I'd tell on anyone to avoid that." Charleston stands by his code, and he's proven it in many situations. For instance, there's been talk that Charleston might be the reason Brick Baby got picked up by the authorities. While most people in Charleston's position would try to deny the rumors, Charleston owned up to it. He proudly stated, "I'm the one that put the feds on Brick Baby." He even claimed that Brick made himself a target by posting a video about putting a hit on Charleston. When that happened, Charleston didn't hesitate to call the authorities. He bragged about having friends in law enforcement, saying, "I made a federal report. I called Houston and made the report through my law enforcement friend." This wasn't the first time Charleston got into trouble for calling the authorities. Last year, he was called out for allegedly involving the police after rapper Boozy Badass threatened a show promoter in Memphis who had booked Charleston. Charleston made it clear he wasn't going to let it slide. "I have a recorded phone conversation with witnesses," he said. The promoter was scared for his life, saying Boozy would send people after him. Even though the internet quickly labeled him a rat, Charleston didn't let the criticism bother him. He laughed it off and made fun of those who were upset. People on the internet have been quick to call Charleston a hypocrite, especially since he claims not to be a rat, even though his actions suggest otherwise. Charleston explained that he doesn't see himself as a rat because he's not telling to get out of trouble. "I'm just telling the truth," he said. "A snitch does it to get out of trouble. I'm just speaking up." Despite the controversy surrounding him, Charleston has stayed true to his mission of helping the community. After his release, he started speaking at schools, juvenile centers, and community events, sharing his past as a lesson for at-risk youth. He's passionate about making a difference and has openly spoken about the challenges facing young people today. He said, "Our kids have no protection. No one is standing up for them, and that's why so many of them end up in jail or worse." Charleston has also started programs to guide young people, especially those at risk of joining gangs. One of his initiatives is a mentorship program that aims to teach kids the importance of making better choices. He's even considered starting a program focused on teaching kids about snitching as a way to help them escape dangerous situations. "I want to teach young boys what telling really is," he explained. "I want to create a program where they learn to speak up when they see something wrong, even in school." Charleston White has a plan that many people do not understand. He believes we need to teach young men to be strong enough to speak up when they see something wrong, even if it means telling on others. He thinks it is important to train these young people not to be afraid to stand up for what is right and to be confident in doing so. He wants to teach them how to fight too, so if anyone tries to mess with them for speaking out, they can defend themselves. He is calling for a new kind of strong snitch, someone who isn't afraid to speak up but also knows how to protect themselves. Unfortunately, not everyone agrees with Charleston's approach. Take Gilly the Kid, for example. He has a lot to say about Charleston's stance on snitching. Gilly expressed his frustration on social media, writing that he could never get along with someone who has been ratting since the 90s, calling Charleston a throwback rat. Gilly has serious beef with Charleston over his views on snitching and recently called him out for it. Charleston did not take kindly to the criticism. He jumped onto Instagram, writing that he saw Gilly had some anger in his chest. Charleston responded harshly, saying that Gilly should not be talking about snitching after the tragic loss of his son. Charleston even brought up the fact that Gilly had once begged for help in solving his son's murder, something Gilly had never expected to hear. Charleston took things a step further in a video that shocked many of his followers. Without any shame or hesitation, he mocked the tragic death of Gilly's son. Charleston's harsh comments were aimed at Gilly's grief, accusing him of being a hypocrite for talking about street codes while mourning the loss of his child. He cruelly pointed out how Gilly had been seen crying when his son was killed, but now, in Charleston's eyes, Gilly was trying to lecture others about loyalty and the so-called rules of the streets. Charleston's words were raw and unforgiving, and the emotional weight of his comments only added fuel to the fire of their already intense conflict. This extreme response from Charleston suggests a lot about how deeply he was affected by being labeled a rat. It seemed as if the accusation cut him to the core, perhaps because he knew the severity of such a label within the culture he was a part of. Being called a rat is not just an insult, it's a full-on attack on one's credibility and honor. Charleston's reaction may have been his way of defending himself, expressing just how much this accusation really hurt him, while also showing that he would do anything to protect his reputation. As for 50 Cent, he is known for his dislike of snitches, and he has not been shy about expressing it. Recently, he dragged Big Meech through the mud, calling him a rat and mocking him at every opportunity. When Charleston entered the conversation, he spoke about how the beef didn't make sense. According to Charleston, 50 Cent and Big Meech were not in the same league, making the fight unfair. Charleston even went so far as to call 50 a bully. 50 Cent, surprisingly, did not retaliate harshly. Instead, he agreed with some of what Charleston said, posting a video promoting his new show and mentioning that he, as a rapper, had no time for the drama. At the end of the day, Charleston White continues to stir up controversy on the internet. People are divided on whether he is genuinely trying to make a positive change or if he is just being difficult for the sake of it. He does not seem to regret his actions and has not backed down from his stance. His behavior has raised many questions. Is he trying to change the community for the better, or is he just causing trouble for attention? It is a debate that many people still argue about online. What do you think? Let us know in the comments below.